why would some parents think that not vaccinating their kids is protecting their kids and loving them, even though they're exposing their kids to dangerous diseases like mumps and rubella?
Well, because there's like some cases that they've said where people have like gotten hurt, or I know they said something about like people have gotten like paralyzed or something from them.
Yeah, that there's a chance, a really, really small chance, but there's a chance that people get like worse off when they started if they take the vaccine, so they can get illnesses from the disease. From the vaccine.
In the passage, it says that like a bunch of people are rebelling just because of one instance. It's like literally a 1 in a million chance. So I'm not sure that that's very reasonable.
Yeah, I would agree.
And do you have to pay to get vaccinated?
I think you do, but I'm not sure how much.
So if you're like in debt or something, parents might not want to pay for it.
Yes, but I think if you have insurance, like Medicare, like free insurance from Obama,
But also,
it covers it.
some
like
people
health
who
insurance.
are in debt don't have that,
Yeah.
so that would make it hard for them if they didn't.
Another question I had was, how many life-threatening diseases are caused by vaccines? Like, are they just smaller side effects, or are most of the vaccines, do they have big side effects that would be life-threatening?
I'm not sure.
I would think smaller.
I really thought I found the highest percentage of a side effect was 50% for this one vaccine. I think it was an MMR. No, it was not. I forgot to write it down, but it was the smallest side effects, like maybe a rash or something.
Which is
Yeah.
better than having the actual disease.
And I couldn't find very big ones with a high percentage.
So, yeah, I mean, I would have to say that I am definitely on the side of you should get the vaccine, but there are some parts where I can see where the other people are coming from, but I definitely still think that everyone should get it.
Yeah, and okay, so one thing that I noticed is the title was young adults more likely to say vaccinating kids should be a parental choice, but I thought that maybe a better title would make the article more effective, because it only talks about like the parental choices for like the first part.
Yeah, and also this kind of ties along with that question, but also it might kind of offend some young adults who don't actually think that. It might be like, well, you're just putting a label on this whole group of people, but actually only some of us think that.
Yeah, and it only differed really 10%.
Yeah, and it's like maybe that other 10% just isn't saying anything.
Back to the fact of protecting their kids by not vaccinating them, it's interesting because they still think this way, even though it's a 1 in a million chance. So if there's 500 million people in America, or I don't know what it is, but it's definitely not
500.
really, But anyways, that's like 500 people that would have a reaction, but 40,000 people still get rubella and mumps, even though they're easily prevented by vaccines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that just doesn't make any sense.
I think it's all the people in America, only 400 or 500 get it, and most of those side effects aren't life-threatening at all.
Yeah, and I just checked, and it's 314.9 as of million people as of 2014. So that's only like 300 people. So.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, because especially they said that the growth of these diseases were starting to rise. So I definitely think it's more important that people get it, get the vaccine.
Yeah.
Would you want vaccines to be optional or mandatory?
Mandatory.
I think a mix, because some have really life-threatening diseases or side effects. for the vaccines that prevent the disease or sickness. And I think those should be optional if they're not common in your area.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I didn't really think about that. Yeah, but only I think it depends on the vaccine.
Yeah, if it's like the flu or something, it should definitely
Yeah.
be mandatory.
Yeah, like more common
Yeah.
diseases should be
Mandatory.
And the
mandatory.
diseases that they talked about in the passage, which should be mandatory in my opinion.
Then again, if it's non-common, if you don't get vaccinated, and if they don't make it mandatory, people could forget about it, and all of a sudden it could spike.
And
So it would probably be better if it was just
every-
all mandatory or all
Yeah.
optional.
Yeah,
That's true.
That's true. Good point.
Yeah, and also maybe if it was mandatory, that would kind of force doctors and scientists to make new vaccines that aren't as,
Dangerous.
yeah. So that could be another side of it.
So, if you don't entirely agree with the author, what was something that he or she said in the article that could have swayed you to disagree?
I didn't really disagree with much in the passages, since I mostly think that they should be mandatory. But again, with the young adults, because it's pretty much a smaller difference, it's not really much of a big thing to title the passage about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're saying that the whole passage is based on that, and there's only a little bit about it, and about like the young adults, and also there's not that much of a wager between the young adults and parents.
Yeah, and it makes sense that the older people would like want the vaccines because they were there and they know, and the young adults think that I don't know, I kind of get the impression that the author was saying that the young adults kind of just think that now they should be in charge of everything in their child's life, but like the more elderly people were there for the diseases when they were actually like spiking and
It says
And-
yeah.
they saw how bad it was. So
It says the older Americans are strong supporters. That's a word that stuck out to me. It was strong supporters of requiring childhood vaccinations,
yeah.
and 79% of them said they would hold that view.
Which
Yeah,
is-
and one thing that struck me as strange was for the surveys, they only said the results for 18 to 29-year-olds and parents like over 60.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. What about
Yeah,
people
what about
that are
like 30, 40?
yeah, people that are more parents for today's young, like, you know,
Yeah.
Like
Like
our
our
age
parents.
groups.
yeah, or like the kids in high school's parents. And
Yeah.
Yeah, I
that
guess.
didn't really make sense to me why they would just totally
Skip that age group.
yeah
Yeah, it makes you think
Little
that there's like something they don't want you to know.
yeah. I would agree.
So were there any words that stuck out to you or you were unfamiliar with?
I didn't know what rubella and mumps were, and then when I searched them up, I found out that they were, so mumps is where you get your cheek or saliva glands swell up and it's painful to eat and you don't want to eat anything. And then rubella is like a really bad rash that pregnant women, they can get miscarriages or birth defects, and then they can also spread it to their babies if they're breastfeeding, so it's really bad on pregnant women, and it's like super easy to prevent, but still there's quite a bit of cases on it.
Yeah, I would say you should be required
Yeah,
to get that.
yeah, especially mothers, like
Yeah,
that's
mothers.
just kind of alright. Well,
You should definitely.
Yeah.
And there weren't really a lot of words that were like hard to understand. But
yeah.
I wanted to. I picked adverse, means like unwanted